Chosen ones, God is warning you about a fake person around you. I need you to stop right now and ask yourself one honest question. Is there someone in your life, someone you call a friend, someone you trust with your plans, someone who sits at your table and smiles at your face, who you have felt something quietly wrong about for longer than you want to admit? Not a dramatic feeling, not something you could easily explain to another person, just a subtle, persistent unease that rises in certain moments, a heaviness after certain conversations, a sense that something important is missing from the warmth they show you like light, coming through a window that looks real until you realize you can't feel any heat from it. If that description landed somewhere specific in your mind, if a face appeared, when I said those words, I need you to stay with me through this entire conversation. Because what you are feeling is not anxiety. It is not overthinking. It is not the product of a suspicious nature or an untrusting heart. It is a warning. And the source of that warning is more trustworthy than any person currently in your life. Let me describe something that I believe is happening to you right now and has been happening for longer than you've allowed yourself to fully acknowledge. You are a person who loves genuinely. When you care about someone, you care completely. You show up without calculation. You give without keeping score. You trust with the full weight of your heart because that is simply who you are and you have always believed, at some fundamental level, that the people around you operate from the same place. That belief is one of your most beautiful qualities. It is also the precise quality that certain people will exploit without hesitation. Because here is the truth that experience teaches and that most of us learn the hard way. Not everyone who stands close to you is standing with you. Some people have positioned themselves near your life, not because of genuine affection, not because of real loyalty, but because of what your life contains: your energy, your gifts, your connections, your momentum, your light, and what proximity to those things can do for them. They have learned to speak the language of friendship fluently enough to pass in most conversations. They have learned to perform care convincingly enough that your heart, which wants to see the best in people, expends the benefit of the doubt again and again. But something in you, something deeper than logic, something that operates below the level of conscious reasoning, has been sending signals that your mind keeps overriding. Today we stop overriding them. Your energy drops every time you leave their presence. Pay attention to this one carefully, because it is the most consistent and reliable signal available to you. Genuine connection, authentic relationship with someone who actually wishes you well, leaves you feeling lighter after the interaction, not heavier. Even difficult conversations between real friends produce a sense of being understood, of being known, of having been met somewhere real. Fake relationships produce the opposite effect. You cannot always identify why. The conversation may have seemed normal. Nothing overtly negative may have been said. But when you drive home, when you sit quietly after the call ends, something in you feels drained in a way that sleep doesn't quite fix. Your nervous system is not confused. It is detecting the effort required to maintain connection with someone who is not actually present with you in the way they appear to be. That effort, invisible but constant, costs you energy you cannot afford to keep spending. Notice the pattern. It will not lie to you. They celebrate your stumbles more than your successes. Watch carefully how the people closest to you respond in both directions, when things go wrong and when things go right. A genuine friend's happiness for you when you succeed is unguarded. It is immediate. It does not require them to compose themselves before responding. It does not arrive alongside a comment that subtly diminishes what you've achieved or reminds you of the ways you could still fail. A fake person's response to your success is almost always fractionally delayed, almost always contains something that redirects the conversation, almost always finds a way to introduce uncertainty, comparison, or a reminder of your limitations into a moment that should be purely celebratory. But watch them when you fail. Watch how quickly they lean in, how detailed their questions become, how readily the story of your setback gets repeated to others. How alive they seem in the presence of your difficulty in a way they never quite seem in the presence of your victories. That asymmetry is not coincidence. It is information. Your secrets have a way of becoming known. You told one person. You were certain. You told them in confidence, in a moment of vulnerability, in the space of what you believed was a protected conversation. And then not immediately, not in any way you could trace directly back to them, the information surfaced somewhere it had no business being. This pattern, when it happens once, deserves attention. When it happens more than once with the same person, even if they always have a plausible explanation, even if they are always convincingly surprised that the information traveled, it deserves a response. That response is simple. Stop sharing what is precious with someone who has demonstrated, through repeated evidence, that they cannot hold it. Not with anger. Not with confrontation if that isn't safe or necessary. Simply stop. Quietly, deliberately, without announcement, stop giving them access to what they have shown you they will not protect. This is one of the more subtle and sophisticated signs, and it took me a long time to understand it clearly enough to describe it accurately. A fake person in your life is not typically opposed to your dreams. Opposition would be too obvious, too easily identified, too likely to push you away before they've extracted what they came for. Instead, they do something more nuanced. They express enthusiasm that never converts to action. They offer encouragement that subtly undermines. They ask detailed questions about your plans, more questions often than genuine supporters ask, but the questions are oriented toward information gathering rather than genuine investment in your success. They want to know where you are going, not to help you get there, but to know how to position themselves relative to your destination. If you find yourself frequently updating someone on your progress while never receiving anything that actually advances your journey, ask yourself honestly, what is this relationship actually producing for me? And if the answer is very little beyond the ongoing performance of support, pay attention to that answer. I want to speak directly to the people who have been dismissing this signal the longest. Your gut is not broken. Your intuition is not overactive. The persistent, low-frequency sense that something in a particular relationship is not quite right, that something is slightly misaligned, slightly performed, slightly hollow in a way you can feel but struggle to articulate, is one of the most sophisticated warning systems available to a human being. It integrates thousands of micro-observations that your conscious mind never processed, tiny inconsistencies in expression, subtle mismatches between what someone says and what their body communicates, patterns across interactions that add up to something your reasoning hasn't yet assembled into a complete picture. When that system sends a signal, the question is not whether to take it seriously. The question is what to do with it wisely. You don't need to confront. You don't need to accuse. You simply need to become more deliberate, more observant, more careful about what you share, what you include them in, what you allow them to influence. Watch, and let what you observe give you the clarity that your instinct is already reaching for. This pattern is painful to recognize because it requires you to look at a relationship through a lens of utility rather than affection. But it is one of the clearest indicators of inauthenticity available. Notice when this person reaches out. Notice what triggers their attention, their warmth, their investment in your company. Is it consistent, present in ordinary moments as well as significant ones? Or does it spike reliably around the times when you have something they could use? When you're about to make a move they could benefit from? When you've just connected with someone they'd want access to? When you have resources, opportunities, or influence that they could leverage? Genuine friendship does not require a reason. It is simply present in the mundane Tuesday afternoon as much as in the consequential Friday night. When presence requires a reason, the relationship is transactional. And transactional relationships dressed as genuine ones are among the most costly arrangements a person can maintain. This one is important, and I want you to hear it carefully. One of the consistent behaviors of people who do not genuinely wish you well is a quiet effort to position themselves as your primary or exclusive source of support, counsel, or validation, while simultaneously introducing subtle doubt about the reliability of others in your life. It rarely looks dramatic. It sounds like, "I'm the only one who really gets you." Or, "I don't know if so-and-so actually has your best interests at heart." Or, "You can always trust me even when other people let you down." These statements, repeated over time, are not expressions of deep loyalty. They are boundary setting of a different kind, drawing a circle around your access to other people who might see clearly what they need you not to see. A genuine friend expands your world. They introduce you to people who are good for you. They celebrate your other relationships. They make your life larger, not smaller. If someone in your life is consistently, subtly making your world smaller, be very careful about the space you continue to give them in it. Watch this closely in the moments that reveal it most clearly. When you achieve something wonderful, something that happened through your own effort, your own faith, your own perseverance, and the person you're observing was not part of the process, how do they respond? A real friend is delighted regardless of their involvement. Your win is a win, full stop, no asterisk. No subtle repositioning of themselves into the narrative. No quiet withdrawal that you can feel, even if you cannot name. A fake person struggles with your unshared victories in ways they cannot fully conceal. The congratulations are present but thin. The follow-up is absent. And beneath the surface of their response, if you are paying attention, is something that looks uncomfortably like disappointment, not at your failure, but at your success without them. That response is envy wearing the costume of support. And it reveals, with clarity that no words could provide, exactly where they actually stand. I want to take this conversation into a deeper dimension for a moment, because I believe it belongs here. There is a reason you were drawn to this video today. There is a reason certain words in this script have landed in specific places, why certain sections made you think of a specific person, a specific relationship, a specific dynamic you have been carrying without resolution. That is not coincidence. That is guidance, and the source of that guidance is more invested in your protection, your wholeness, and your future than any person currently in your life, including the one this conversation may be revealing to you. God speaks through the check in your spirit that rises before your reasoning catches up, through the dream that left you unsettled in ways you couldn't explain over breakfast, through the consistent, gentle, persistent prompting that something needs your attention even when everything on the surface appears fine. The warning you have been receiving is a gift. It is an act of love from the one who sees everything your loyalty has prevented you from seeing. Receive it as such, not with fear, not with anger, but with the sober, grateful awareness that you are being protected and that the protection requires your participation. I want to end this section with the truth that is hardest to receive and most important to understand. Releasing a fake person from your inner circle is not a defeat. It is not a failure of your love, or your discernment, or your faith in people. It is the natural, necessary, and ultimately liberating act of honoring what you know to be true and creating space for what is genuinely meant to be there. Every relationship that occupies space in your life without contributing to your growth, your peace, or your purpose is docking something that was meant to arrive. The position they hold in your attention, your energy, your trust is a position meant for someone who will actually fill it as intended. Removal does not require drama. It does not require confrontation or accusation or the public naming of what you have discovered. It simply requires a quiet, deliberate, consistent withdrawal of the access you have been extending and a redirecting of that energy toward the people and purposes that are genuinely worthy of it. That withdrawal is not cruelty. It is wisdom. And wisdom, exercised in the right season, changes the entire trajectory of a life. I want to leave you with something I need you to carry long after this video ends. You were not designed to carry people who do not actually carry anything for you. You were not built to sustain relationships that take without returning, that drain without replenishing, that perform loyalty, while quietly working against everything you are trying to build. You are a chosen one, not in a way that makes you superior to anyone else, but in the specific sense that your gifts, your light, and your capacity for genuine love make you a target for people who want to consume what they cannot create. The warning you have received, the one that brought you here today, the one you have been feeling in your body and your spirit for longer than you have honored, is not meant to make you cynical. It is not meant to close your heart or transform you into someone who trusts no one. It is meant to make you discerning, to help you protect what is precious so that you can give it to the people and purposes that deserve it, to ensure that the love you carry, which is real and valuable and rare, flows toward those who will receive it with the same genuineness with which you offer it. Trust the warning, honor the process, release what is not meant to remain, and watch what God makes room for when you do. If this reached something in you today, if a specific face came to mind, if a specific weight lifted even slightly as you listened, subscribe. Every week we go deep into the truths that most people sense but few articulate. about protection, discernment, purpose, and what it means to live chosen in every sense of the word.